Welcome back to Video 6, Video Editing. In this video we will learn how to place images on the timeline and how to move those images or rearrange them within the timeline environment. So first of all, make sure that you have all of this completed from the first 5 videos and you have your images ready to go. We also want to note that the tool we will be using throughout this lesson is the Move tool, which is right over here on this listing, and there it is. And just like in Photoshop, the shortcut is the letter V. V for the Move tool or the Selection tool. So that's the one you want to be selected on. We'll learn about these others later on. Let's double click our first image. And then to bring this image onto the timeline, what we will do is, because there's no audio associated with it, we could either click just the image itself or the video only portion, and we'll drag that and bring that right down next to the black video. And notice that when it snaps to the next image or to that black video, it turns to that little white triangle, and that indicates that you are right up against it. What you don't want to have is any blank spaces between these clips. You want them to come right up, and so you see that triangle and let it go, and so now it's right up next to it. Now at this point you will notice that the image is bigger than our program view here, and that's because these images that we took with our camera are rather large, and so they need to be rescaled to fit within the particular sequence settings that we created when we started this in the previous video. There's a couple different ways that we can resize, but a real quick way that we will deal with it right now is to simply right click on that selected image and then click Scale to Frame Size. Just like that. Now we do have some letterboxing going on here, and we're going to go ahead and just live with that for now. Here's our scroll bar to move down the timeline. From the previous lesson we learned that we can zoom in and zoom out by pressing the minus key. So this is still 5 seconds here on this image, but we're just zooming in as far as the amount of it that we can see. And so a real good location is somewhere about like that. That would be enough for us to work with these images quite easily. Let's go ahead and grab another image that we might want to work with here. I click here on the timeline to see it in the program sequence. There's my black first image, the next image. Once again, the image is a little bit too big, so I can right click, Scale to Frame Size. Now once again, if you want to see your images, the other way you can do this is to come up here to that task list and go ahead and have your thumbnail showing, make it a little bit easier. You can also select the icon view, double click, and then they all pop up in this nice little larger folder, so you can come in and click your images this way. And once you're in this view, you can actually just come and grab that image and then just drag it directly down without going into the preview window. So that's the other way that you can bring these images onto your timeline. Once images are on the timeline, you can rearrange them by using the Move or Selection tool. You could lift this out of the way and put it on a different video track and bring another one if you wanted that to be your first image to start off your video. And then you can move these in this fashion and then insert this one in that empty location. You can also select above or below these and select more than one at a time. And then you can move them as a group. And note that when I click on these images, when I'm in this particular view, that I always try to grab the ribbon portion of the image. If you grab this bar right here, you'll start changing the opacity, or in an audio clip you would be changing the volume, and so you want to avoid moving that. See, that changed the opacity of that picture, and so you want to be real careful about that. So the safe way to do it is to always just grab that ribbon portion. And once again, you can just select those with that selection tool, and then you can move your clips around that way. And so that's going to conclude video 6. Go ahead and grab the images that you want to place on the timeline and arrange them in the order that you would like to have them, and then of course scale them to the frame size so that they all fit within our screen environment. And then in the next video we'll take a look at making some additional adjustments to your timeline as far as the scale of the image and the duration of the image. And then have me come by and take a look at your newly formed timeline.